You know, my childhood is full of really great memories. And yes, a lot of those memories do center around food. Growing up, there wasn't a week that went by where my grandmother didn't have a hot, steaming, buttery pan of cornbread on the dinner table. And that's one of the memories I remember the most. So today I'm paying homage with a little bit of an upgraded version that has a little bit of extra butter, toasted pecans, and a little bit of honey for a recipe I like to call my butter pecan cornbread with honey butter. We start by taking all the normal cast of characters of a good cornbread and adding them to a bowl. Then we sweeten the pot with toasted pecans and we use buttermilk for an extra fluffy cornbread. The whole thing bakes up until it's golden brown and then it gets topped with melted honey butter. It's sure to have you licking your fingers. And of course, everything we do, you know, it's gotta be simple, delicious, easy, and just good food. So let's get started with this amazing butter pecan cornbread recipe. So for any really great cornbread, the first thing we're gonna do is just gonna toss in a cup of flour, right? It's a very simple recipe. I got a cup of flour, right? The next thing I'm gonna toss in is gonna be a cup of sugar, right? I like to have that sort of like sweet cornbread, right? Because growing up, we always had the cornbread. It was in the blue box, and so you know the cornbread I'm talking about. If you are from where I'm from, you know the blue box cornbread. We had that all the time, all right? So this is very, very reminiscent of that because it's gonna give you the same sweetness that you're really used to seeing, all right? So I've got just real simple, a cup of flour, I got a cup of cornmeal, and I've also got a cup of sugar. Into this, I'm gonna add in a pinch of salt, right? Because whenever you're baking, you really want that salt to help bring the flavors out. And then to really help bump up and get a nice fluffy cornbread, I'm gonna add in a couple of tablespoons of baking powder, all right? Make sure you're gonna use your fresh baking powder, nothing that's been sitting around for months and months and months, okay? All right, let's give this a whisk, just really to incorporate a lot of the dry ingredients, and that's it for our dry ingredients. How simple was that, all right? Now let's talk about where the fun comes in, all right? Any great cornbread, you need eggs. So to this, I'm gonna go ahead and crack open 2 eggs and get the eggs put right into our cornbread mixture, right? So here's 1 egg, all right? And these are room temperature. They really crack better and whisk in better when you're baking if they're gonna be room temperature. Here's the second egg, just like that, all right? And I'm just gonna break these up just a little bit and give them a little bit of a stir. They won't go too far, all right? Now let's add in the butter. All right, so I've got 2 sticks of melted butter that I'm gonna add in, all right? I'm just gonna incorporate it a little bit. Again, this is butter pecan cornbread, all right? Look at this. All right, let's put in some buttermilk right into there. All right, this looks good. And the consistency is gonna be just a little bit thinner than like your regular normal pancake batter, all right? So we're just gonna give this a nice whisk, just like this, until everything's incorporated. You don't wanna overmix, but you want everything incorporated. And this is the batter for your basic cornbread. How simple and delicious and easy does this look and is this, okay? Now, we've got our butter action, our eggs are all incorporated, our buttermilk is incorporated. Now, I just went ahead and toasted off some pecans, right? I got pecans that we toasted in a dry pan. I'm just gonna toss the pecans right into the batter, just like that. And then with a spoon, I'll stir the batter ever so carefully, just to make sure everything's incorporated in that batter, all right? All right, now I've got my baking dish that I don't need to grease, I don't need to butter because we have more than enough in our butter pecan cornbread. And I'm gonna just take the mixture and pour it right out into the dish, just like that, all right? I'm gonna come in here and scrape it all out. Now with the spoon, I'm just gonna come in here and just smooth it around a little bit to make sure everybody's nice and smooth out. My oven is preheated to 375 degrees. Now this goes off in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes until it's nice and golden brown. So after about 20-25 minutes, here's what you come up with. You come up with a fantastic, steaming, hot, buttery, delicious pan of butter pecan cornbread. And there's only one way to make it better, and that's with a little drizzle of honey butter right on top. This is still piping hot, but it's not gonna stop me from cutting into a corner of this delicious, amazing cornbread that's fluffy, it's moist. All right, look at this. Oh yeah. This one. It's so good. It'll have you licking your fingers. Listen. This takes me all the way back to Sundays at my grandmama's house. After church, a big pot of collard greens and this cornbread just transports you. What's great about this is I get a little crunch from the cornmeal. That butter is permeating all throughout this cornbread. It makes it super moist. I really get the flavor of those toasted pecans all throughout this cornbread, and that honey butter on top just really sends this whole thing home. You have to give this a try. Recipes like this and so many more you can get on my website. For the exact recipe for this butter pecan cornbread, it's on page 46 of my cookbook, Stories from My Grandmother's Kitchen. You can pick this up today by going to my website. It's dariuscooks.com. Listen, two things I want to tell you, as I always do. Food is my life. Life is my food. Until next time, with butter pecan cornbread and honey butter, I really want to wish you happy cooking from my heart to yours. It's so good.